I'm at SGO, and they've got a very a well-known product called Mistika.
Mistika, yeah.
Mistika.
Same difference.
And obviously quite well known for its use on the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And first of all, before we get into talking more of the geeky stuff, I'd like to discuss with you why did Peter Jackson go with Mistika at that stage, and how has doing that high frame rate, massive 3D problem affect you and your product tools? Where has it brought them evolutionary wise?
I mean, the main reason that they went with it was basically because of flexibility. Being able to both deal with the massive amounts of data required to do 3D interactively, so being able to run multiple streams simultaneously with effects, with multi-layers of grading and all the rest of it. I mean, that was the key part of them making a wholesale decision to change their entire facility from the prior technology.
Really, the entire facility?
They have a number of Mistikas down there running from laptops on set all the way through to the big systems in the grading rooms and the VFX and the whole environment.
So it actually runs on laptops as well?
I mean, the software is pretty damn agnostic. I mean, you can run it on Windows, Mac, Linux under what we call Mamba, which is the kind of VFX side of the system. And then obviously the main Mistika systems, the big ones, are Linux based, but they will run on pretty much any hardware. So if you're doing kind of on-set visualization, then you can run them off of a laptop with an SSD, obviously through to large SAN-based environments for doing petabytes worth of material when you're doing the full feature finalization. And being able to build a network together that can operate at that level and take all of the information, not just the pictures, but the metadata, the changes, the comments, all the way through to the end, was a key part of them wanting to restructure their entire operation around that workflow. I mean, they came to us at a fairly early stage, so we were able to obviously work with them to assist in their design of their requirements and obviously modify the system to go along with it. And those modifications obviously spin off as benefit for all the other customers out there. They are one of quite a number, and we try and treat everybody the same. And each modification or addition, obviously goes out to all the customer base, as it's released.
Now, this year at NAB, obviously you'll have some sort of announcement, a new version. Is there anything else you've shown this year of interest to people watching?
The software development is pretty continuous. So to be fair, we don't actually do the kind of major hold back things and launch them at shows.
You just basically give them out when they're ready?
Pretty much so. I mean, the software that's here now is 8.3, and it's been out for a month, whatever, and it's already proven in the market, and we don't have alpha software or beta software on the booth. We are at whatever release stage we're at. And the problem is, because the development cycle is so fast, we kind of have to do it that way, because if we held stuff back, you'd end up with huge updates rather than having what are quite big ones going out on a more regular basis. So we tend to do probably monthly, if not quicker, releases throughout the year. It's the best way to respond to the customer's needs.
Okay. Now we're going to get a little bit more into the technical side and follow up with talk about the standards, etc. Now, I spoke to you before off camera about VC5, which I think sounded very interesting to you, and the potential standardisation of a raw bit stream. So, and I know you'll probably follow that up, but we'll move on to something which I did see you're doing a lot of work on. I can see some high dynamic range monitors here. You mentioned you were doing something with Canon before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we are obviously agnostic to anybody, but we, again, because of our ability to be responsive within our own software development, so we can actually turn around new ideas and concepts very quickly, and that obviously works with these guys that are coming up with the new formats. So we have done a lot of work with the Dolby, with Canon, and are working with a number of others, so that we can effectively assist them in, if you like, almost testing and proving what their new ideas are.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting because we spoke about it off camera again, and very much about how you're very much involved with this. You've implemented pretty much anything you could think of to go to the high dynamic range, and the only really thing left is for like SMPTE bodies to come up with the final numbers that you have to plug in to say, okay, this is how bright we want to go, this is where the white point needs to be, this is how dark we're going to go. And once we have that standardized number set, you're pretty much there.
Puts it in. I mean, the whole idea of the system itself, and it's inherent throughout the whole way that it is developed and designed. It is totally open. So we can respond very quickly to that kind of change. We don't have fixed architecture that we have to fight with to add new things in. So to be fair, we tend not to work ahead of the curve, but we work right on top of it because we can respond that quickly. So it's relatively straightforward, but we do like the, if you like, the formats to be close to being ratified before we put too much effort into it.
Absolutely. We'll move on to, we spoke about IMF and direct some interest in there, but obviously you are a partner with ACES, which was released by
ACES V1.
By the Academy this year, which is a big step for them. And ACES is an interesting, it's a new sort of standardised workflow for applying to the higher dynamic range of all the cameras and trying to bring them all together and trying to bring a standardised sort of look at it. And that's really good. But can you give us any feedback? Like, does ACES live up to its promise?
To be fair, I still think it's early days. I mean, the original concept of ACES was for VFX interchange, so that you could move shots between different facilities and they'd have a kind of a standardised understanding of what they're looking at. It's grown beyond that quite considerably, and the ideas for that are valid, and it does make a lot of sense with what is attempted to be done. I think that until we have accuracy in the likes of the IDTs and the ODTs, that there are still limitations in place.
I thought, because we were a little bit down the track, I thought the IDTs were pretty mature from that by now, but you're saying that's not probably the case?
No, I mean, some manufacturers yes, and others no. And then, of course, as you're talking about standards now, as new camera manufacturers bring out new cameras with different colour gamuts, and it all changes again. And then, to be fair, being brutal about it, you put a different lens on a camera body, it changes the way that camera responds to the scene, the scene around it. So you would need another IDT for a different lens.
Well, that's great to know.
And it goes down the line. I mean, there comes a point where you've got to say enough is enough, and this is going to be good enough.
That's right.
And the problem is, we haven't yet proven that good enough is yet good enough.
Okay, we don't know where the good enough flag is to be set.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because we are very early days.
Okay, well, very good insight into ACES, because I'm very much of the. One of the things I wanted to try and figure out and pass on to the viewers is that ACES is here, but the right tool for the right job. And we have a lot of tools which we know work today. We know how to do them now. We know what the results is now. And justifying moving away from that, there needs to be a good justification.
I think it's more than that, actually. Very much from our side, obviously, because it's colour-based, and the majority of what we're talking about here is colour manipulation in a grading environment. And to be fair, that's what colourists have always done. They have taken footage from different cameras, from different sources, and they have used their eyes to grade it into something that works as a single unity. And adding ACES into that doesn't necessarily improve on it.
That's right.
It may make it simpler, because it may get to a starting point.
That's right. But my understanding is the most benefit of going ACES at this early stage is the fact that you are hopefully getting to a starting point where you do your whole grade from a known sort of, where everything's closer to where you need it to be. Like your first pass is only 20% as hard as it used to be before you used ACES, and if you add that over the whole next couple of years of doing workflows, you're up. You're up with your time spent and your investment.
That's the thought process.
Yes.
Not necessarily the reality.
Okay.
And there are a number of reasons why. And one of them is that the actual colour space that ACES defines isn't actually good for grading.
Oh, really?
Because it's a linear colour space. And
see, I've spoken to other people who have a different opinion on that, but okay.
Again, there are no hard and fast rules.
That's right.
But there are certainly different approaches that produce better results quicker, and certainly grading in a gamma referred space or a log space is actually a lot easier to work in than trying to work through what is.
Are you sure that's not just the fact that that's where we come from with film?
No, no. It's again, it's down to the fact that our eyes respond in a logarithmic way to light. So therefore, we are naturally attuned to making changes in a log or gamma referred type space, because that's the way we see the world. And trying to modify that, is not easy. You end up actually building overlayers in the ACES environment where you actually are maybe working in the ACES space, but you overlay on top of it a transform that puts it into a log type of environment for the actual response to be right and for you to feel the changes. But then it's obviously dropped back into the ACES space as kind of the results. I'm not sure that is a level of complexity that is necessary, but it doesn't mean it's not. We are, again, as I said, at early stages here.
That's right.
And we will all work to look at this to find the best ways to get to the end result that we like.
Anyway, all I can say is thank you very much for your insight on these new emerging standards. I know there's a lot of people out there who are seeing these things coming down the pipe, and they're going, what the hell am I going to do with all this? So this is invaluable information for the industry, and I really appreciate it. This is SGO, and their contribution to the industry is where I really appreciate it from these companies. And thank you very much, Steve.
My pleasure.
And that's James Gardner, SGO for NAB 2015. Bye for now.